Hey, welcome folks. We're gonna get started here in a couple minutes. Waiting for folks to hop in. Actually, we'll give it just a couple minutes, probably after the top of the hour once we do hit the start time, just to make sure we have everybody in. Give a little bit of time to trickle in. This is gonna be an exciting presentation, folks. We're happy you're all here. We got some good stuff coming for you. Got a couple demos we're gonna be doing as well. Of course, we'll explain all that here in a minute. And we'll be taking Q&A at the end. As you have any questions coming up, you can put questions into the Q&A box, but you can also just save them for the end. At the end, we'll have a moment where you can raise your hand to ask questions. So just heads up on that. Hey everyone, I'm Jacob Hess, and Adonis is going to go ahead and pick it up from here.
All right. Well, fantastic. Thank you very much, Jacob. I really appreciate that. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the agenda for today. And the agenda for today is going to, well, I'm going to talk about myself in the next slide, but we'll talk about what cybersecurity is in a very cursory view from that. We'll talk about cybersecurity threats, and then also some cybersecurity careers that you can get yourselves into. And I want to give you guys a feel for essentially what people do on the blue team and red team. So we'll do a blue team exercise and also a red team exercise. We'll do a video in terms of we're going to attack a network or attack a host. And then the blue team side, we're going to investigate what had happened. And then from there, we're going to go tie it up and talk about cybersecurity and how networking is related. And then Jacob is going to take off and talk about the FS&E program and our cybersecurity accelerator. So about me. All right. Okay, so in terms of me, this is me, Adonis Babine, the lead cybersecurity instructor over here at NGT Academy. I am a Navy veteran. I am a forensics analyst and a penetration tester. I am a master instructor over at NGT Academy. And if you guys want to see what my credentials are, these are the domains where my credentials are. I am a master instructor with EC Council. Those are the people that create the certified ethical hacker. And my domain, I'm pretty much basically my certifications cover forensics, networking, as well as just instruction in general. As you can see here, I am also certified in NCSA and NCSP, which are our in-house certifications, which I have worked on directly. Now, let's go move on to the question here. Now, so we want to define what exactly is cybersecurity. Now, cybersecurity is one of those umbrella terms that have been tossed around for the last couple of, well, I want to say a couple of years, but it's really been around the last 20 years. Essentially, what exactly is it? And cybersecurity is the practice of protecting hardware, software, and data. And essentially, in today's modern day and age, what exactly does that mean? Well, it means everything, right? What business out there does not have hardware, software, and data? Essentially, a business essentially creates data and works from that data set, and we essentially just protect it. I hear some back chatter in here. Was that from me or was it from an attendant? Okay, no big deal.
No, it's all good.
Yep. Okay, awesome. All right, so let's go ahead. That's a very nebulous term, right? The practice of protecting hardware, software, and data. How do we protect that? Well, quite easy, actually. Quite easy in theory, actually. And that basically we use these other umbrella terms, which are network security, application security, and information security. We protect our networks with network security practices, application security, and information. Application security is like essentially safeguarding web servers. You guys go to web servers pretty much every day. Those web servers need to be safeguarded from malicious attacks. So does operating systems. Essentially, any software that's running on a computer needs application security. Some of you guys might have been looking online for jobs, and they have application security analysts as a part of the roles. And essentially, that's what that person does. They go into an organization and they evaluate software before they introduce it within that organization and make sure it's safe. And we teach you all that good stuff over here at NGT Academy. Of course, information security, essentially the safeguarding of information in general. Once information is taken into an organization, how is that information protected against breaches, against leaks, all of those malicious things? Now, again, What does that mean? Essentially, imagine if you go to a medical office and you have your medical information in office. What exactly do they do to protect your information? Do they just leave your files laying around? No. OSHA has regulations and HIPAA regulations to make sure that your data is safe. And that's with all data in general, right? A company runs on its information, and we must protect that. All right, let's keep on going here. And let's talk about the cybersecurity threats that are in the world today. Now, there are a lot of terms out there, and we'll talk about them in a cursory manner. We'll talk about malware. Malware essentially is malicious software, and is another big umbrella term that we have for malicious software. Malicious software can be, well, down here, ransomware. You guys should know what ransomware is. It's been on the news more often than not over the last couple of years. Companies being taken ransomed, and their data essentially is inaccessible to them until they pay a nice hefty sum. Some of you guys might have heard about the Baltimore hacks that had happened a couple of years ago. Essentially, Baltimore civic system was taken for ransom to the tune of 13 Bitcoin. At the time, that was about $65,000. It could have gone up quite easily from there. However, the $65,000 that they paid in Bitcoin was minuscule compared to what they needed to do to remediate the issue. At last count, they were paying around the tune of $21 million just to fix the issue itself. And that is the waterfall effects of ransomware when it enters an organization. I've heard about organizations, actually, I know directly about an organization that had to shut its doors because they got hit with a ransomware attack. They couldn't pay it. They couldn't get their information back. And this was an accounting firm. And what good is an accounting firm that can't get to their numbers? We also talk about social engineering. That is the manipulation of people through social interactions. And insider threats. Insider threats arise from basically inside your organization, disgruntled employees, and I don't want to use the word disgruntled employees and untrained employees that could threaten the organization. Now, we're talking about non-malicious actions like deleting a file that was critical and sensitive to the organization, or essentially not even paying attention and downloading data. DDoS and DOS attacks, which are distributed denial of service and denial of service attacks. Essentially, what that is a DOS attack is inundating a server with requests that prevents legitimate users from using it. The hacking group Anonymous was made famous, essentially made famous for this back in the early 2010s. Essentially, what they did was they took down a large number of organizations and disrupted their services from being used by legitimate users. And of course, we have the advanced persistent threats, and those are the baddies in the world, the boogeymen, the Baba Yaga, if you guys know that term. Essentially, the highly skilled operators that are out there. Some of you guys may know about the name Lazarus Group, Fin7, Oceanic Group, and basically those are the nation state sponsored actors out there. There are quite a bit of them. Okay, let's go ahead and talk about how these threats have impacted companies in the last couple of years here. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about, let's see here, the Lapsus Group. Okay, these guys have been in the news over the last couple of years. Essentially, this Lapsus Group essentially attacked the Ministry of Health in Brazil's website, and they postponed plans to implement new health requirements for travelers in Brazil. And that is scary, right? A group of hackers prevented change that impacted the health of an entire nation. For those of you guys that don't know about the Lapsus Group, they were taken down about this year. Turns out it was a ring of high high school students that were very creative. They essentially went on the dark web, used open source tools, and essentially were able to grab employee logins through social engineering, and essentially pivoted and escalated their permissions through an organization that way. Yes, that's right. A bunch of 17-year-olds took down Brazil's website. Now, here we go. Another one of the Lapsus group. Yeah, these guys have been pretty busy. Maybe they need more homework or something. But also in 2022, on March 2022, the Lapsus group posted a torrent of 190 gigabytes coming from Samsung. That's right. They basically breached Samsung's network, and they leaked out source code of the Samsung line's phones and Samsung's phones, which was detrimental to the organization. A multi-billion-dollar organization was had by a bunch of 17-year-old kids. And that's a scary thought, right? Because there are many of these actors that are out there that have young people that are using their gifts for malicious use. Maybe they could be channeling it for something else. All right. Other ones, some of you guys might have remembered this one when the whole world lost its mind, the Colonial Pipeline hack of 2021. If you guys live on the East Coast, maybe you remember everybody just pouring into the gas lines, filling up everything that had a hole in it with gasoline. Basically, DarkSide. DarkSide is a Russian hacking group. They performed a malware attack that crippled the fuel delivery across the southeastern United States and ransomed Colonial Pipeline for $5 million. And the fuel delivery system did not. Let's think about that. The fuel delivery system in the East Coast United States, and that affected trucking, that affected airlines. Nobody could get fuel for a couple of days. And it was absolutely insane to think that they were able to disrupt the infrastructure of a nation like the United States, which should be a leader in cybersecurity. It turns out Colonial Pipeline was able to find a piece of legacy software running on the Colonial Pipeline network, which was running an older version of VPN software, and they were able to exploit that. That's right, another multi-billion-dollar organization that had a gaping wound, just pretty much open on its infrastructure. Whether their IT people got way too busy, they didn't know that they had that piece of software there. It baffles my mind, and that is one of the examples over here. And of course, the big one that everybody is still reeling from. Here is the SolarWinds hack. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, SolarWinds is a company that provides monitoring software, network monitoring software, security software to tens of thousands of clients out there. Now, they essentially have software that sits on a network and that reports back essentially the health of a network, and they report back to usually a network operations center. Now, SolarWinds does this for tens of thousands of clients, and basically the SVR. Okay, when I say SVR, SVR is another arm of the Russian nation state actors. Basically, they allegedly deployed malware to create a backdoor to SolarWinds customer systems, which were utilized to stage more intrusive attacks of some customers. Now, these customers are the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of State, the Department of Energy, the National Nuclear Security Administration. These are the customers of SolarWinds, and essentially, this was a prime example of a supply chain hack. Essentially, to break it down further, SVR essentially broke into SolarWinds network. They were able to grab some patches and updates that were supposed to be deployed to their customers. That patch and update were then corrupted with a backdoor program in there. And then the SVR was able to remotely gain access to those networks. That's pretty scary, right? That's pretty scary to think of. The National Nuclear Security Administration was affected by this. This is the reason why we need more cybersecurity individuals out in the world. All right, so let's go talk about the different careers in cybersecurity that would help prevent events like this from happening. And here is an extremely long and very, very complex graph of all the cybersecurity domains that are out there. However, me and Jacob, we decided we are going to break that down to what exactly these means. And these are essentially jobs that we placed our students in the past. So let's talk about career examples. We're talking about security compliance officers. We're talking about network security. We're talking about vulnerability management, risk assessment, threat analysis, penetration testing. That's one everybody goes goo goo gaga for. Pen testing is the hot new rage. Cloud security, another great thing. If you're not a pen tester, you don't want to be a pen tester, I would highly suggest moving into the world of cloud anything. Cloud is going to grow so much over the next 10 years, and I don't see any slowdown. In regards to cloud, I would say like when 2012, when the DoD said, we're going to go ahead and start using cloud as our preference moving forward, cloud basically just doubled every year after that, and there is going to be a great need. SOC and NOC engineer, that is Security Operations Center and Network Operations Center engineer. Basically, those guys are the ones sitting in the war room, the situation room, and looking at the health of a network. To put that in context, guys, think about your ISP, your internet service provider. Who is monitoring all of the networks that make your ISP work? Usually, all of the statistics about a particular network feed into a NOC or a SOC, or Security Operations Center, Network Operations Center, and all of that data is sifted through by individuals, and they monitor if a switch is going down somewhere in Oklahoma, or a router is being inundated with traffic in Parkland, or something to that effect. And of course, a topic near and dear to my heart, and that is going to be the forensics. That is going to be forensics investigator, which I would say that most large organizations have. However, a forensics investigator sometimes is contracted out. All right. That is the major part of the careers here. So let's go ahead and move on forward to the red team and blue team. All right, so red team and blue team, these are what exactly does this boil down to, right? Basically, this is essentially a competition of network attackers and network defenders. Of course, attackers are red team, the defenders are blue team. And let's go ahead and figure out what exactly does the blue team do. And basically, the blue team is a group of professionals with a full view of the organization's security posture. They conduct risk assessments. They audit DNS and configuration files. That's a lot of auditing, right? They go over into an organization. They make sure everything is supposed to be configured to whatever they have on paper per their policies. And they say, okay, so all of our computers are essentially running the same antivirus program. They are running this configuration. All users are unable to write to particular directories. These are the audits that they perform. They perform internal and external vulnerability scans, and they run vulnerability scans against the organization, against known vulnerabilities. That's basically pushing a button, but they are the ones that have to take that information that come back and then analyze it. A vulnerability scan is a lot different from a pen test, because a pen test is going to be a lot more invasive and more complex in general. And they also verify architectural security of an organization. From time to time, switches and routers need to be configured and reconfigured, and also things get added to a network as a company grows. They make acquisitions, and they have to verify that those additions to an organization are architecturally secure. Okay, and that is a big issue, and that is a very big topic when it comes to networks. You can grab the best firewall at the edge of your network. However, if the architecture of your network is insecure, it's like having, it's like Fort Knox with all the guards in front and somebody leaving a back door open with nobody guarding it. That's what we're talking about, architectural security. So that will lead us on over to our first demo, and that is going to be our blue team live demo. We're going to do a packet capture analysis, and we're going to extract the stolen information from that packet capture. So some of you guys, let's go ahead and queue that up right now, and I am going to log in into our first box over here, or our first virtual machine. And we are going to be using Kali Linux. And this is a tool that we use pretty much every day in our NCSA program. So if I type in my password, and of course, let me just go ahead and cue that up. I'm going to let you log in, Mr. And I am going to log into this machine over here. And this is going to be our victim machine, which is going to be a Windows 10 PC. And we're going to have a file server here. Okay, great. And our attacking machine is right here as well. All right, give me 1 second, guys. And let's see what happened with our Kali box. All right, well, let me just go ahead and restart this box since it does not want, this virtual machine, I should say, as it does not want to respond. No big deal. And this sometimes happens with virtual environments. Let's go ahead and get that. There you go. There's Kali. Nice of you to join us, Kali Linux. Appreciate that. All right. Well, that's awesome. All right, we're going to go ahead and bring up a program called Wireshark, an application called Wireshark. One of the more ubiquitous tools in cybersecurity out there. This is used by red teamers and blue teamers alike. And essentially what this does is it listens on your network, and it just essentially relays back what packets are observed moving back and forth. Since this is a virtual environment, I have very little traffic moving across back and forth between my computers here, but that will change shortly. All right. And let's see here. This is the Windows 7 machine, and I have the Windows 10 machine running right here with the FTP server. So what we're going to do is we are going to open up the command prompt over here, and we are going to FTP. We're going to go ahead FTP to 172.16.0.4, and we're going to log in anonymously. And we are going to browse around and take a look. That there is a couple of files in here to FTP server. For those of you guys that don't know, an FTP server is a file transfer protocol. A long time ago, back in the 80s and 90s, FTP was used more commonly to send information back and forth before network shares became too commonplace. And the way how people would use it is they'd go through a directory and see a file that they wanted, and they would go get 6xij7f.jpg, and they would grab that file over there. Okay, great. And over here is essentially the snapshot. The snapshot of what had happened during that time, and everything should have been captured by this packet capture. Now, as a blue teamer, you would not know what was happening on either computer. All you would see is essentially this packet capture here. Now, what exactly, as a blue team member, what exactly is suspicious about this? Well, if you don't have the documentation, if you don't have the training, none of it looks suspicious, because it is all legitimate network traffic. This is all legitimate network traffic. Nothing about it screams malicious. This is when you would use your training and say, all right, I understand that within my organization, certain protocols are not allowed. So I would say, hey, how about let's go take a look at insecure protocols. Now, within Wireshark, you have a bunch of tools, and we have a bunch of tools that helps you analyze this. So you can go in and say, hey, you know what? Let's go look at our conversations that were happening, and in here through statistics. And I do see that there was a large number of traffic moving on port 443. And I do see that there was a good number of traffic moving from packets port A and point A and point B, and we can go ahead and see if there was anything here that was of note or of mention. And look at over here, we have port 21. Now, I don't expect anybody that's not in cybersecurity to understand or have this pop in. But FTP works on port 21. If my organization does not allow insecure traffic, and I have the training to say, oh, port 21, that's FTP, that's insecure, then essentially we can essentially just drill down and say, hey, you know what? Let's go look at this conversation over here. Let's select this and let's just go from point A to B and let's close that up. And notice over here, Wireshark is so nice, and it says, hey, there is some traffic moving back and forth between point A and point B. In this case, 172.16.05 and 116.04. Now, here we see all of these distinct packets, and here we see that there is a TCP handshake that happened. This is one of the cardinal rules in TCP. No TCP connection happens without the handshake. So that's all good and fair. However, we do see that there is quite a bit of information being passed over. Now, this is about 23 packets, and it's not uncommon that you will see thousands of packets or thousands upon thousands of packets within any given session. Now, really easy way to do this, guys, you just right-click on it and you just follow this conversation. You follow this TCP stream, and you see exactly what was typed in. This is the problem with insecure protocols, because within insecure protocols, you essentially have no encryption. If you have no encryption, you can basically just look at something and just read it as plain text. You see here, somebody logged into our FileZilla server. We have a timestamp on the packet, so if we need to grab when this happened, we can easily do that. But this user logged in as anonymous, and it's the password that they supplied was essentially just a roll of the hand kind of password here. They were able to log in successfully. They listed some files, and then from there, they retrieved this file over here called 6xij7f.jpg, which of course is an image file. Now, the cool thing about Wireshark is that since Wireshark listens to everything that's being transmitted across the network, we actually can extract what this image is quite easily. So if I decide I want to take a look at this, I can say, you know what, I would just want to go ahead and I want to filter for IP ADDR equals 172.16.0.4. And I could take a look and say, hey, where exactly was that file and how can I take a look from there? And I do see that there is a large, this is a larger frame over here. As you guys can see, the length of these frames are fairly small. However, you see a rather large frame right here. And let's go ahead and follow that stream. And looks like we have a stream over here. And it says JFIF at the very top. And when you are working in forensics, you will know that that is essentially a header for a file. Essentially, a header is a marker on a file that tells the operating system or an application what kind of file is this. Okay, we take a look over here and go into JFIF and say, hey, this is the ASCII, or the American Standard Institute's standard for encoding, and we see that there is a bunch of garbage. And I hate using that term, by the way. It's because nothing's ever garbage. It's not being looked at correctly. Now, we can go ahead and change the way how we view this and say, hey, you know what? Let's take a look at this as a hex dump. And that's the hex dump will show you things in a hexadecimal format, like so. But what the important thing here is I want to see this in a raw. I want to see this in a raw format. Okay, this is the way how the machine essentially reads this, and this is, well, machine language essentially. And what we can do here is we can extract this. I'm going to go ahead and save this as. I'm just going to go ahead and say extracted JPEG right here, and I'm going to go overwrite this file. Replace that file right there, and we can go ahead and open up a terminal, and we can go ahead and say og extract.jpg, and voila, there you go. We were able to extract the image that was passed on from point A to point B, essentially from Wireshark. And you can do this with pictures, you can do this with documents, you can essentially do this with anything. You can reconstruct a lot of, well, you construct anything out of Wireshark. If you see the data, you know how to identify the data, you can manipulate data and make things that look like magic quite easily. All right, awesome. Jacob,
Awesome.
how are we looking?
Demo there. Yeah, we're good. We're good. Yeah,
We're looking good on
yeah,
time.
yeah,
All right.
Yeah, excited for the red team one too.
All right. Yeah, this is the FS. Oh, yeah. And basically, this is what the kids are calling memes. And here we have, you don't have to make a choice between FSNA and CSA.
You need them both, actually.
You need them both. All right. Awesome.
Networking goes hand in hand with cybersecurity. That's your first inkling to that.
It really does. I mean, essentially, I don't know if you guys caught this earlier, but I started off my career as a cybersecurity. I started off my career as a network engineer, and I spent years configuring routers and VPNs, and that essentially translated to my cybersecurity career, because I didn't have to backtrack and say, oh, what's a subnet, what's a domain, what's this, what is this traffic supposed to look like. It basically just helped me just skyrocket my career early on when I went to
knowing networking to start gives you that foundation to allow you to understand all the things you're going to be doing in cybersecurity, meaning understanding packets and flows and data streams. We're going to be talking about that here toward the end of the presentation.
All right, we're getting a little squirrel action over here. So I'm going to go ahead and move back. Thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and move back over to the presentation, and I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And we will be using our machine a little bit more here. All right. So that was the blue team demo, guys. Hopefully, you guys picked up something from there and just saw that what is possible through blue team exercises. What I hopefully that blew somebody's mind and say, "Wow, I heard about Wireshark, but I didn't know Wireshark could do that. That's crazy." And you would be amazed of how many things you can find. You can learn about what you can do with Wireshark in general and blue team. It's very exciting stuff, very exciting field. Let's go ahead and move on forward. Now let's go talk about the red team. Now the red team over here. Oops. Yeah. Basically, the red team works in concert with the blue team. What they do is their primary goal is to gain access to networks. They uncover information through enumeration. And what enumeration basically means is digging deeper. Enumeration basically means I'm going to look at this and I'm going to investigate each subset of what I find. I'm going to keep on looking. I'm going to look at it sideways. I'm going to look from back. I'm looking from the front. I'm going to keep on looking at this until I can find some actionable information. What they do with that information is they design and plan network infiltration and execute them. Now, what they do with that information basically is they write a report and they submit it to management, and they work in concert with the blue team and say, hey, we found a hole within our organization. Blue team, here's the write-up. Why don't you go ahead and patch it? And then after we patch it, we're going to go try it again. And hopefully we can't get in this time around. So essentially, you want somebody actively trying to break into your organization using the same techniques that a malicious actor would do. Okay, every organization should use penetration testing. And actually, to be honest with you guys, every organization, if they are dealing with certain types of data, they will need to get a pen test on a regular interval. Okay, most organizations have to do that. When I was working in software development, if I ever needed to pass over a project over to the DoD said, hey, did we have a pen test done on this module? Did we actually try to break this? And before they accepted it, I had to attest that there was a pen test performed on that particular project or not. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and do a red team demo here. We got a little bit of time. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to play around with FTP one more time, or the file transfer protocol, and we're going to go ahead and try to break into a server, and that should be pretty interesting. And once again, we are going to be using, and I'm going to be looking up. So if you guys are looking at me, I'm going to be looking up this way. It might look a little bit weird. We are going to try to break into this machine over here called Metasploitable. We don't know what the IP address of this machine is. It's just here on screen. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and press Control. And from there, I am also going to use my amazing little toolbox of Kali Linux. And let's go ahead, exit out of there. That's fantastic. And by the way, guys, this is the default version of Kali Linux. This is the same thing that you would configure per the lesson plan, per the NCSA. That you would go through, I instruct you to go through. I'm going to go ahead and open up a terminal one more time, and let's go ahead and escalate our permissions like so. All right, so we have a computer on our network, and we don't know what the IP address of that computer, we don't have the IP address of that particular server. And now we need to enumerate the network a bit more to find any targets. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my great tool over here called Nmap, and I'm going to scan this network. And I know that I'm on the network. I'm on the network of here, 172.16.06, and I do see that I have a 24-bit mask over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and instruct Nmap really quick, SYN scan 172.16.16.00/24, and we are going to see what pops up, and this could take a particular couple seconds over here. If I press enter, it'll tell me what the progress is. So I'm at 65%, 79, 82, 87, 90, 94, and I'm just going to let it wait. I'm just going to wait for it to give out there. All right. Okay, so this is what Nmap gave me, and yes, guys, this is the command line interface. If you have not worked in the command line interface, it's a little bit inundating. However, the more you work with the command line, the more you'll prefer it. Yeah, that's right. The more
can you zoom in a little bit, or
I'm sorry. Yeah,
make the text a little bit larger on the terminal there.
Thank you for that reminder, Jacob. I appreciate it. Okay, so all right, so just for those of you guys that did not see that, I essentially did if config, verified my IP address, saw that my IP address was in this network over here, 172.16, the Class B network, and I do see that I have a Class C mask, which is the 24-bit mask, and then I utilize that information to say, hey, you know what? I want to find more computers on this particular network that I am on, so I sent a SYN scan over to this network. And what happened was Nmap reported back, hey, man, I do see that there is a host of some sort over at 172.16.0.2. It's listening on port 22, 135, 445, and then 902 as well. Okay, that's interesting. And here we have a couple of other computers, 172.16.0.4. There is FTP open on that, and this was the server that we attacked earlier for the blue team exercise. And down at the very bottom here, this is something that seems a bit juicy or very tempting. The reason why I say that is because it has a really large attack surface. Now, when I say really large attack surface, I mean that somebody configured a bunch of ports to listen on it, and basically to a red teamer, the more ports that are open on a server, the more opportunities there are for me to break in. Now, over here, I want to find out more information about this FTP protocol that's open on port 21. Okay, so what we are going to do, I'm going to move my camera real quick here because it's blocking my view, and let's go ahead and do a more invasive or a more complete Nmap scan. I'm going to go ahead and do Nmap SC-SV, and don't worry about these flags that I'm using, guys. These are basically telling Nmap, hey, give me more information about that. 172.16.0.7, and then we were also discovered that this live machine on here, and Nmap SC-SV 172.16.0.7. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that, and it should report back some more information. Now, this could take some time. I do believe it shouldn't be too much, but we're going to go ahead. Okay, we're halfway done now. Oh, you know what? It's going to take a lot of time because I was not more exact with Nmap. I need to specify -P21 to specify that I'm only interested in port 21. So Nmap will not spend all day trying to enumerate all the open ports. And what do you know? My hunch was correct. There is some information about this machine that is actionable. Now, the actionable information over here, it says, hey, man, port 21's open. It is definitely an FTP, but the good information that we have here is that VSFTPD 2.34 is running on here, running on this particular machine, VSFTPD. Now, my hacker brain is telling me we need to go investigate VSFTPD 2.34, and we can go ahead and say, you know what, let's open up a browser and use our open source intelligence gathering techniques, or basically OSINT techniques, and say, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and go on over to exploitdb.com. And I'm going to go ahead and half this screen over here. Great. Let's go to exploitdb.com and let's look for VSFTP FTPD 2.34. And let's take a look if there are any exploits for this particular piece of software. Now, we do see that there are two exploits that are found. Now, this is backdoor execution command over here. We can go ahead and dig in a little bit deeper. And if you have any experience with coding, you will see that this the code is provided for you. And if you are so inclined, you could see that what's happening here looks like somebody, in this case, somebody essentially it supplies a password. And for those of you guys that don't know, this backdoor was written in. So if you logged in with anything with a happy face in the username, what would happen was this backdoor would trigger. And what would happen is it would open another port on port 6200, and that's where the backdoor happened at. So all of this can actually be done manually. All of this can be done manually by just logging in as somebody with a happy face, and then essentially a port would open on the host machine, and you would just tell that to that port. But we're not going to do that. We're going to automate this whole process here, and we're going to use a backdoor command. But the good thing here is that we see that we have this plugin or this module is built into Metasploit, and that is going to make our lives a lot easier. So what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and utilize our tools to do this. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move this to the side. Control Alt right, Control Alt T. I'm going to open up another terminal here. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to open up a console, MSF console, and we are going to use our tool Metasploit. Metasploit is basically the de facto standard in pen testing these days. There's not very many. Oh, Control Shift plus. There are a couple of alternatives to Metasploit, but most of you guys, if you're studying cybersecurity, you'll run into Metasploit sooner or later. Okay, and the use of it is not very difficult, right? Basically, we just got to say, hey, you know what? Search for me VSFTPD. And let's go see if we find any exploits. All right, the website was not lying. We do see that there is an exploit over here for Unix FTP VSFTPD 2.34, and it is going to be the backdoor execution command, the same one that we saw earlier. And we can basically say, let's go ahead and use 0. Okay. From there, we're going to go ahead. We basically, our interface changed to say, MSF6 right here. And now it says, hey, MSF6, we have an exploit loaded, and this is the one that you selected. And let's go ahead clear this up, and let's go ahead show options. In this particular case, what options do we have? The remote port's already selected at port 21, which is not a surprise. This is FTP after all. And we just need to basically set our sights on the target itself. Now, the target itself was 172, as we saw here, 172.16.07. So set our hosts, because that's what it's asking for. 172.16.0.7 right there, and nobody blink, because we are going to send an exploit down the pipe to see if this one actually goes. So we see that we have an exploit running, and it sent it, and if you blinked, then you missed it, because a command shell was open. So we have a terminal open right now. And if I type in, who am I am now root. And if I do ifconfig, I do see that my IP address is 172.16.0.7, as opposed to this computer on this right-hand side. If I do ifconfig, I do see that there is, let's see here, 117.16.0.6 is this computer. We have remote access to this machine. It is essentially owned because we are now root, and I can do things like, let's go to the etc. folder. Let's cat the passwd file right there, and you see all the passwd, all the users are all the users on the system are listed within this particular file. And if I wanted to, I can just say cat the shadow file. The shadow file essentially is where all the passwords are, and they are in this hash format. This is cryptMD, crypt 512, and we show you how to crack these passwords in the course. You can crack these passwords quite easily with a couple of tools. If you know how, everything's easy, right? All right, so from here, what I can do is I am going to go ahead and add a user, okay? Add user, and we'll just call him NCSA hacker test 123. 123 is my password. Yes, correct information. All right, and if I cat the shadow file again, or the passwd, down in the very bottom here, we do have a user now, and that user is the NCSA hacker, and we were able to create persistence on a machine, lickety split, just like that, just because somebody was not paying attention to the server they were running and allowed for an outdated or unpatched machine running on their network. From here, we can go and escalate further into the network. It is a million times easier to hack a network from within than outside. And that is going to wrap up our red team exercise. And that is the basic exploitation of a Linux server with a backdoor execution command. Okay, so awesome. That is a little taste of what exactly a red team exercise is going to look like. And
nice job on breaking into that FTP server, Aiden. What's cool is that, so since Aiden did that, if this was the real world, well, what the vulnerability is there is that if someone were to really do that, they would constantly have access to that FTP server into the future. And so the whole purpose of this is the red team identifies this vulnerability or this hole in the network, and then the blue team will go, right, Aiden, and then patch that, make sure it's secure. So that's the job of these two teams and how they work together. The red team is going to find the holes in the network and the vulnerabilities, and the blue team is going to fix them.
Right, exactly. And again, guys, from that point, the whole issue can cascade further. So if I have root access to that machine, I can escalate my privileges down to another computer, into another computer, until I get to the point where I can basically have access to the entire network. These hacks can last forever. Have you guys heard about the Marriott hack from 2014 to 2018? Essentially, that was an APT attack where hackers essentially broke into the Marriott systems in 2014, and those hackers persisted on the network. They essentially had access to the network until 2018. They had 4 years of time loitering within a network. Now, anybody here, think about who stayed at a Marriott from 2014 to 2018. I probably stayed at a Marriott like 3 or 4, maybe 5 times. Now, that information that I gave in, my credit card numbers, who I am, my birthday, all the stuff that you give when you check into a hotel, that information was essentially in danger or has been compromised. And that is what we have to deal with on a regular basis when we think about security in general, just the ever cascading impact of these events. All right, let's go ahead and move forward. And this is the part where I go ahead and we talk about cybersecurity and networking. And I believe, Jacob,
right, yeah,
I'm gonna mute myself, and it's you.
All right, thanks, Aiden. And yeah, I'll keep you driving here. So before you bring up the bullet, I'll just talk about this for a minute, because this is a well, I wouldn't say serious topic, but it's definitely something good to know. Some folks think, oh, for me to get into cybersecurity, I just need to get a Security Plus, or just need to start trying to do some labs, or maybe try to go on YouTube and learn some stuff from there. But it's a lot more difficult than that, honestly. And if you just go to try to be paper certified in something in cybersecurity, it's going to be difficult. What you need to do is build some skills and also have the certs to go along with it. Now, in order to do that, you need to create a very strong foundation so you can understand things. So starting with networking knowledge is going to be the absolute best way to do that. So let's actually bring up the question here. We have this question, Aiden, if you can go ahead and advance that bullet. What is my best approach to becoming a cybersecurity professional? Like, where do you start, right? So we can go ahead and bring up the answer to that. And the answer, as I was just saying, begin with understanding networks and network engineering. Why? We'll go ahead further. Aiden, you can actually go ahead and build out the full slide here now. You know, with network engineering and just networking knowledge, you're learning about networks, and this creates an incredibly strong foundation. Now, this foundation really supports all parts of IT, but it's really necessary for cybersecurity. It directly supports cybersecurity knowledge and skills. Because in networking, you're learning about packets and frames and data flows. You saw that Aiden was actually going into a TCP stream using Wireshark. Wireshark is a networking tool for packet analysis. So if you didn't understand packets, frames, how data flows are and everything, you wouldn't be able to do that. It's a much more of a high learning curve if you don't already have this foundation built. In fact, if you went straight into cybersecurity, you're kind of working backwards in that regard. So you don't want to do that. You want to build a strong foundation and work forward from there. So again, we're working on packets and frames and data flows, and also all the devices in the infrastructure that support all IT services. That's what you're doing with networking. So you get the bigger picture, you understand the highways and byways and how things connect. And that is very, very, very crucial and important to your cybersecurity knowledge. So understanding network infrastructure and the protocols, it's the most sound method to start building your knowledge in cybersecurity. All right, you can go ahead to the next slide there, Aiden. And now we'll talk about our program. So this is our laser focused program, folks. It's called the Full Stack Network Engineer and Cybersecurity Accelerator. This is actually a combined program. So anyone who enrolls in this program gets access to not just a little bit of network engineering training or a little bit of cybersecurity or this or that or the other. No, you get the full gamut. So you'll get access to basically 2 programs in one, the Full Stack Network Engineer and then the Cybersecurity Accelerator. Now, if you're going in a cybersecurity focused path, if that's what you choose, you'll have to complete our Full Stack Network Associate in-house certification first. That's the first course that everybody has to do. No matter if you're going in a network engineering focused path or cybersecurity focused path, you do have to complete the Full Stack Network Associate in-house certification from NGT Academy before you can move forward down either path. And so what is this program all about? The program is designed to give you the real world skills you need. And how we do that is with robust hands-on labs and actually project-based learning. So on the networking side, you know, we have robust projects where we're rolling out multi-site network deployments. You're also planning, design, implementing, you're supporting and closing these projects. You're also getting project management experience. You're getting basically everything you would need to get a job as a network engineer from that. And on the cybersecurity side, you're building out cybersecurity attack and defense sandbox labs that you can use in the program and well into the future. So we're setting you up for success. Now, of course, we do have certifications as well, right? It's a big part of the industry. So we have 9 certifications that are part of our program here. How the program runs is it's online. So we're an online only institution at the moment. We used to run in-person classes, but hey, the way things happen and the way COVID, you know, all this stuff, more people are even, folks are even more on the online side of things. And we decided to go online only. Now, that doesn't mean we don't have live instruction. We just don't do things in person anymore, okay? So we have our own learning management system. We built in-house everything we built. We have an online community where our students and instructors all come together, and we have weekly live instruction. So every single week, we have live instruction from instructors for each individual block of our program. So depending on where you are, you join the appropriate study group and you can ask questions. And so the program is really asynchronous and it's self-paced. There are timelines and milestones we have for you to achieve with due dates and stuff, but it's self-paced, so you have control over that, right? It's going to fit your schedule. That's the beauty about this thing. It doesn't matter, you know, how much time you have. Of course, you want to have some time to carve out to do it, but I know there's people working, right? It doesn't mean you have to stop working and dedicate yourself fully to this. No, it's designed to plug into your life and allow you to make the time that you need on your own. And we also do provide career services. We call it our career success team, and we provide career services, meaning we're a full services institution. In fact, we have a sub-brand called Zero to Engineer, where we take folks even with zero experience, right? And we bring them through all the training and all the skills knowledge and all the certifications and all the career services, meaning your LinkedIn, your resume, your cover letter, all that, interviewing, and help you actually with jobs. We provide open jobs. Of course, you go out and find your own, but we do provide services there as well. And we have a great platform on the career side and a lot of career training too. So again, we're a full services institution. And honestly, I couldn't feel better about the program we have right now. It's really an amazing program. You got me and you got Aiden, and we are instructors in the program too. We have other instructors as well for different blocks. But let's look a little bit more about the program here. So just to help you understand, you're using a lot of tools when you come into our program. It's real world skills focused. You're not going to just be going through knowledge-based learning and taking tests. Of course, that is part of it. We do need to have knowledge-based learning. However, we are skills focused. So as soon as you get started, even in the FSNA, you're going to be doing labs right away. Basically, from module 2, you'll get introduced into labs right away. So anyway, we use a lot of tools. We're focused on Cisco iOS on the networking side, but we use all kind of different stuff. Terminal emulators, port scanners. You'll get to use even looking glass sites. You'll be able to see how you can log into service provider routers and look at all the routing tables. I'm telling you, we cover everything in that on the networking side. So many cool things, so many good tools that you'll be able to use. And you'll learn a lot of Cisco iOS command line configuration and what you need to be effective, as well as, of course, building out the projects. And on the cybersecurity side, Aiden's been showing you some stuff here: Wireshark, Metasploit, command line tools in Linux, using Nmap, packet sniffers, all kinds of different stuff, right? Password cracking, like we do it all here. And it's really, really cool. You get your hands dirty with a lot of tools. And there's just a quick snippet of our career services. We have workshops, we do asset reviews. We're a very hands-on institution, folks. And we built something here that can plug into anyone's life. And it's very beautiful, in my opinion. And let's go ahead and advance one more time. We'll talk about the certs here. I know there's been a lot of people wondering about that. So these are the certifications that we provide directly as part of the program. At the top strip there, from left to right, you see the networking related certifications we have. The full stack network associate that you see there at the top left, everyone has to do that, no matter your focus path, it's networking or cybersecurity. That's where you start. It gets your foundation built, not only in networking, but it's really a general IT foundation you're building, but it's focused in networking. And in order to achieve your full stack network associate, you have to take a written exam, and then you also have to perform a skills qualification check and deploy a lab for us. And after that, we have our CCNA and our FS&P and our Network Plus. Network Plus is really optional. The CCNA will take that over, right? So you will still have access to Network Plus training if you do want to achieve that cert, but it's not mandatory. On the networking side, you'll do your FSNA actually, and then you'll do your FS&P. The Full Stack Network Professional is a skills only based certification. So you'll be doing lots of projects leading up to your FS&P. There's actually 3 projects, very robust projects. Again, you're planning, designing, implementing those, supporting them, and closing them out. And then you'll take a skills qualification check that's a little bit more advanced, of course, from the FSNA in order to do that. But there's no written exam for the FS&P, skills only. And then you work on your CCNA. So guess what, folks? Before you ever even think about getting your industry cert, you're already going to have all the knowledge and skills you need to start working on that. And then we plug you into the CCNA training and our CCNA block, and we give you everything you need to actually knock that cert out. So that's the networking certifications there at the top. And then the second strip there, you see the NCSA. So if you're on a cybersecurity focused path, you complete the FSNA first, and then you would move into your NCSA studies. The NCSA is the NGT Academy Cybersecurity Associate. And Aiden actually runs that part of the program. Aiden's been deploying lots of awesome labs in there. We've upgraded it quite a bit, actually, since its prior form. It's a really great course and certification there. And just like the FSNA, the NCSA has a written exam component, and it has a skills qualification check component to it. After the NCSA, you're working on your Security Plus to get that industry cert. Once you get that Security Plus knocked out, you have these 3 EC Council specializations. You can go for all of them, or you can choose one. You got the Network Defense Essentials, you got the Ethical Hacking Essentials, and you have the Digital Forensics Essentials. These are small specialization certifications that actually don't take too much effort to achieve. So they're a great way to add a little bit of specialization into your cybersecurity, basically, Rolodex. Or what am I looking for there? On your LinkedIn, on your resume, you get what I'm trying to say, to help you have that specialization. Now, if you want to go a bit further and you want to get something even higher level, we do run Certified Ethical Hacker and Certified Network Defender boot camps from time to time. Now, we'll announce those whenever they come available, and that is an additional upgrade on the program. So those aren't directly part of it, but if you're a student in the program, we make sure that it's very extremely affordable for you if you want to add that on. The program itself is also extremely affordable. And well, those are the certifications. I'm going to go into the Q&A area here. I know there's probably a bunch of questions, so we'll get to you folks' questions here. And yep, here we are. All right. So, hey, if you want to level up as a cybersecurity professional or a network engineer, by the way, apply here for a consult. Now, anything you do in our program, meaning if you go through the networking focus path and you decide, hey, I want to add some cybersecurity onto that, you have access to everything. You can do that. And these things go hand in hand. So honestly, no matter what area you're trying to get in, all of the certifications will help you if you're trying to get into cybersecurity or network engineering. So it's just such a great program, meaning that it opens your doorway up to so many different jobs going through all of this. So if you'd like to talk to our team, you can learn more about the specifics. You can hit up zerotoengineer.com/apply. zerotoengineer.com/apply. We also have some testimonials and things on just zerotoengineer.com if you want to check that out. And I think I'll go ahead, before I go to the questions and start answering the questions, I will post into the chat. Where'd my chat go? A link to our syllabus you can download. For the FS&E and Cybersecurity Accelerator, it's right there. You can get that from our website too, ngt.academy. That's one of our websites. And then we also, of course, have, well, let me put this one all out into the URL, zerotoengineer.com and zerotoengineer.com/apply. All right, there you go. I posted all of the links and stuff into the chat for you if you folks would like to access those. And now I'll go to the question board as we look to wrap up the call and make sure everybody has all their questions answered. And I'll go ahead and just answer these last questions live here rather than type them out. So Yusuf said, oh, you're talking about flexibility. Okay, I think that was just a comment there. If you have any other question on that, you can ask. Pavneet says, can a non-tech person learn? Yes, our program is designed to take people even with zero experience. That's why we have this term zero to engineer. And you can see that sub-brand up there on the top right, zero to engineer. Yes, for sure. It's designed for both non-tech and people who have a little tech experience alike. And you'll see, once you start going through the full stack network associate, you'll be like, wow, this is actually extremely good. I'm understanding everything. I don't have to have any technical knowledge at all. So trust us on that. And it's me actually teaching you there to get you started. Augustine says, I have a Security Plus certification. However, I've not been blessed to get a job. Is it possible for me to get a career through the school system? Yes, absolutely. If you've been working on your Security Plus, you already got some knowledge in the realm, in the area, in these areas. So you'll be able to maybe move a little bit faster through some of the studies. And yes, absolutely. We provide career services, folks. We also help making sure that students are working through the program. We have a student success administrator monitoring, checking to see if people are progressing through and hitting you up if you're falling behind. So we have things in place to help push you through it as well. Of course, you know, we're not going to try to bug people, but we give you what you need to make sure you're getting in class and you're progressing and you're getting all the right services, including the career success services. And well, I guess to add on that too, we have robust career training, just to make sure you know that we have a lot of training on that area as well. And Hani says, is it fast-paced instruction? 4 months, how we get the foundation? It will be tough for no background in IT. If you have a full-time schedule available, you can complete it in 4 months. However, if you're on a part-time schedule, that would be around 20 hours weekly. It's around a 6-month endeavor if you're putting in part-time to complete a focus path. And yes, it's for people with no background in IT. So hopefully that answers your question there, Hani. Now, if you are going through one particular focus path, either networking focus path or the cybersecurity focus path, it'll take you around 6 months. If you want to continue through and finish the other areas of the program too, you'll still have access to all of that. If you want to do all of that, it'd probably take you around 10 months to do it all, but that's everything, you know. Everything is useful, but generally what I guide people toward is pick your focus path, start working toward your career in that focus path. And then once you start getting into the door, going to the career side of things, you're applying to jobs, then start going into the other part of the program and continue your learning because it's only going to help you. Meaning even if you're going down the cybersecurity focus path, getting your CCNA is still going to actually help you too. So why not start working on that as well? Anyhow, very robust and synchronous with your needs. Angel says, what day would the live weekly session be and how long? We run them on different days. A lot of them are on Tuesday. The FSNA weekly session is around 1 hour and 15 minutes on Tuesdays. And Aiden runs some on Tuesdays and on Thursdays. So it depends on the block you're in. But we have that all scheduled out for you.
Yeah, but we also have one-on-ones. So if you need time with an instructor, you just go ahead and say, hey, I need individual instruction. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
whatever works for you.
We're here in our community. That's what our community is for. You can reach out to us honestly, directly, folks, if you need the help. We have so many things in place where you can get help on your own. Of course, we have the study groups you can join. But yeah, if you get stuck and you're like, hey, can I get some help? We're here for you. We can set up a one-on-one. And like Aiden said, we can give you one-on-one instruction and help you through it. Can't beat that, right? Adasua says, use things to get started. What makes people stand out in the job community? And do you guys teach on policies? We definitely teach on policies. Policies is a huge part of the Security Plus. But what makes you stand out in the job community is really the skills that you learn and the certifications you have, and really your just passion for what you're doing. You know, the goal is to get you in front of a hiring manager or a recruiter of some sort. And in order to do that, we have to, of course, get your skills going. We have to get you certified, and we have to build your personal branding. And that's what we do. That's how we make you stand out and be viewed by recruiters as a candidate for these types of jobs. Anonymous attendee says, do we pay for the exam or is it included? So for the industry certifications like the CCNA and the Security Plus, you do have to put the bill for that. It's usually around $300, but they change the price sometime. It's not built into the program cost, but the program cost is extremely affordable. So the program cost is somewhere, it's around 10K. We provide different discounts. It does fluctuate a little bit from time to time. So if you go to zerotoengineer.com/apply and you talk to one of our admissions reps, they can usually apply some type of discounts for you. I can't give you the exact pricing we're doing now because honestly, I actually don't even know what it is at this moment, but it's around 10K. And yes, you can usually get some discounts there. So if you talk to our rep, they can help you out. And all right, yes, so that should answer you folks. I see a few people asking about the fee, how much it costs. Angel says, what makes you guys stand out from all other boot camps out there? Well, first off, we're not a boot camp. We're a training academy that focuses in network engineering and cybersecurity only. And the training model that we built, we've actually taken from the military. I was an instructor in the United States Air Force. And what we did in the United States Air Force, folks, is we trained people in the skills they actually needed to do the job. And so that's the whole concept we brought into our training model, and it's block-based. And another thing that really helps us stand out against other types of training organizations in this realm is really our projects and our skills-based hands-on learning, folks. Like you're not just learning technical skills here. You're going to be learning the soft skills you need. You're going to be learning about project management. You're going to be learning so many things that you're going to have an incredibly great package there. I was just talking to one of our students, Andreas, the other day, and he went and got a network engineer job. He actually got network engineer title when he left the program. So, hey, that's the power of it. This doesn't happen for everybody. You can lead the program and get an engineer title right away. But what Andreas was telling me when I was talking to him 2 weeks ago, Andreas was telling me that whenever he was being interviewed by the hiring manager was like, wow, you're telling me you never had an IT job before? Because you've been able to answer these questions way better than people that have come and applied to this position that had 10 years of experience. Andreas told me that. So, hey, that's not the only time that's happened. There's been multiple folks telling me these types of things, students that have gone through the program. Anyhow, hopefully that helps.
Yeah, and boot camps usually take like five days. They'll do instruction for 40 hours or 80 hours maybe. And you're supposed to learn basically all of those in that amount of time.
Oh, I see, folks. I see you're saying the chat didn't come through right. So let me post it elsewhere. Not sure why you can't see that. It just says only to the host and panelists. I see. Because it's the webinar mode, I guess. So I'll go ahead and post it here as an answer I'll post it as an answer to the question. Oh, boy, hang on just a second. Hang tight, folks. Hang tight. Chat is disabled. All right, I'm going to answer this question with the links. So here you go, the syllabus. This is coming, folks. And we have our website, 02engineer.com/apply. We have our website, 02engineer.com. We have our website, ngt.academy. All right. So you folks should be able to have that now and just post that as an answer to the question. All right, I'll keep going through the questions here. I see we have quite a few. All good. We have some time, so let's get through it here. If you folks are still interested in hearing it, you can hang on and we'll get these answered. Right? Do you have a disability student department? We do not have a disability student department. We used to provide some services around counseling and whatnot, but we don't have that any longer. However, yeah, talk to your, and whenever you go to 02engineer.com.apply and you apply there and you get on a call with an admissions rep, you can ask them different questions or specify further about what is your need? What is your specific need? Because I'm sure we could help you. Pavneet says, is there any minimum age? Your kid is in 10th grade. Well, there's technically no minimum age for you to be able to go through the training. But in order to be able to use the career services, you do need to be a certain age. Generally, we don't focus on trying to enroll people who are under 18, et cetera, but that is possible, Pavneet. So if you do talk to our team, just go into it with that knowledge. But, the career services obviously, wouldn't be there for someone who is not ready to get into the job yet, but they can, of course, learn all this stuff. Payment options are available. Yeah, all that stuff, folks, all the fees, all the costs, the payment options. I can't really give you more information than it'll be around 10K and you can get some discounts. There are different types of payment options you can have, but you'll have to go through those with the admissions rep. Right, more questions on cost. Is there more hands-on rather than reading docs all the time? Yes, there is an incredible amount of hands-on. You're doing over 100+ hours in projects, folks. You are working on labs all throughout. Even if there's knowledge-based training, there's going to be labs in there too. Yeah, we don't have room for a foreigner. It's only the career services. If you can pay for the program, you can use the program. It's just our career services are only part of the United States. So, if we can't help you get a job in another country, you do need to be a U.S. citizen or at least have, visa green card type situation for a certain period in order for our career services to help you. But hey, if you just want the training, of course, you can get that. It's online only. Another question about how long you have access to the program. The default program access length is 18 months. However, there are ways to extend that if that is needed. R says, I have CYS E+ analyst certifications, no job in cybersecurity. How will this help me in securing the job? Well, it will help to make sure that your knowledge and skills are brushed up and in the right way, and adding additional certs. Those are great certs you already have, though. But then our career services team can also help you. Our career services team can provide, all the training you need in that area, help you brush up your personal branding, and help with even job offers. What times are your live blocks during the week? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? They're in the evenings. They're at approximately 4 p.m. Central Time and later. Our in-house certification, does your certification qualify you as a CISO? No, it doesn't qualify you as a Chief Information Security Officer. A Chief Information Security Officer is a role that you would achieve later on in your career after you already were in the field for a while. And sorry, Aiden, too, I know I'm kind of taking the mic here, but just working through the questions. Of course, if you want to input at any point, you can.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah, you're doing a great job.
All right, thanks, Aiden. Priscilla says, hey, I had my bachelor in cybersecurity. What certs do I have to take? Well, that stinks that your bachelor program didn't help you get certs too. They should have. What certs should you take? You should take the certs that we just listed here. You should at least get your Security Plus, but you should also work on some EC Council stuff. Get our in-house certs too for your skills. You do need to get some cybersecurity certifications. All right. Can you get tax benefit on the fees paid? I'm not really sure on that, what type of tax benefit that would be. If we are on salary, shared agreement payment option, what if in the middle of program I want to drop off? So generally, we don't do the income share agreement anymore. There are some rare cases where we may do that for students in the future, but generally we don't do income share agreement anymore. If you were on the income share agreement and you dropped off at a certain time, you would have to pay back something based on what you actually did go through in the services that we did provide. What category of tools do you use and how does it compare to enterprise tools? There's the same tools that you would use in enterprise. We did go through different tools earlier a bit, so hopefully you got that. My company provides tuition reimbursement, so can the curriculum be broken up to submit for company payments? Well, that's something we would have to work out between the admissions rep and understand your situation there more with your company, but I'm pretty sure that would not be any issue. Tim? Yoni says, what's the average duration students take to go through the networking and cybersecurity? Generally, it's 6 months at a part-time pace. If you have a full-time capability, you can do it in 4 months. If you want to go through everything, it'll be about 10 months, but your focus path will take you 6 months. So it's 6 months to start working and to get in a job. Options for international students. You can have our training. You just don't get the career services. We are recording the session, and yeah, I'll see about just getting it emailed out to everyone here. I'll make a note of that. All right. Hey, thanks, Joe. Yeah, Joe Cabazuela, you're one of our alumni, and he's also one of our testimonials. Joe said it's worth it, folks. Yeah, Joe Cabazuela is on here. He said, hey, it's worth it, folks. I'm an NGT alumni. You can see Joe actually on zerotoengineer.com. Did an interview with him. Thanks, Joe, for popping in. Appreciate you, man. Yep, we do help with the resume and everything on Joe. We're full services, folks. We have a great career program. We call it our Career Success Services and our Career Success Team. You can get direct coaching, we run workshops, we have training, we help you with all of your branding. And we also, once you get your industry cert, we also put you into a system we have called Hunter, and we invite you in there, and it allows us to completely help you managing your job search and your job offers and all that. How would you compare NGT and Code Red India? I'm not sure on the Code Red India, but we touch on way more areas than most schools do, and we have projects and whatnot. Probably they don't have a Code Red, but I would have to give you more in-depth analysis on that. But hey, Helder, you can come find out yourself, right? Sorrel says, would there be any physical routers and switches? Would it all be through GNS3 Packet Tracer? Generally, just using Packet Tracer. We used to ship out hardware that become a little bit hard to manage. We do provide information on how you can build a home lab. It's funny, we've had students actually build out our entire full stack networking project at their house with real equipment because you can do it for relatively cheap. So we advise you on getting some hardware. We do send you some things. We send you a welcome kit. We send you console cables. We send you some stuff to play with and some stuff to use, but we no longer send the physical routers and switches. But we do advise you on which ones you want to get or which ones you should get in order to build your own little lab.
Yeah, and you don't absolutely
like $25 each. It's not expensive.
Yeah, and can you guys hear me, by the way?
Yep.
Yeah, and you don't absolutely need to have the physical routers in place. Essentially, you go to a data center. What you learn with having the hardware is just a tactile sense and plugging in Ethernet cords.
Yeah, exactly.
But the majority of what you're doing is going to be logically assigning configuration files. So, you know, if you want to spend extra money, I mean, that's great, but I don't see
hardware is a completely optional thing. But I do recommend that people at least get one router and one switch. If you want to get a more robust lab, you know, you want to get 2 routers, a layer 3 switch, and a couple layer 2 switches. Pubneat, yeah, we did perform demos. We performed the red team and blue team demo earlier. Since this is cybersecurity focused, we didn't do any networking type of demos. We just did cybersecurity demos. John says, would the curriculum prepare me for taking my CISSP? It'll give you a lot of knowledge around that, but it's not going to gear you to knock out that CISSP. Understand CISSP also has other requirements where you need to actually be working in the field for a little while. So the CISSP is not an entry-level exam.
Yeah, you have to have 5 years experience to get the CISSP. You can get the associate. But yeah, it's more the CISSP is more management based.
Yep. That's nice, John. You already have your A plus, Network plus, and MCSA. That's a good little set of things. I would recommend, well, depending on what focus you want to go. If you want to go networking side, the CCNA is going to really wrap you up there. But of course, on the cybersecurity side, you could gear toward there too. Just go through our cybersecurity focus path and you'll get the right certs to help you out. Deeper Life Bible Church. I think I missed the time the next batch or cohort will start. We no longer run batches or cohorts. You can enroll today. You can enroll right away and get started instantly. There are no longer any wait times. We went asynchronous, self-paced, and online only, and it makes everything roll and run a lot more smoothly. And it fits everyone's schedule better. Anonymous attendee said, I've never worked in tech. Can I still take the course? Yes, absolutely. 0 to engineer, folks. 0 to engineer. Alfred says, does our organization teach IT auditing? We do go through some of that concept, whatnot. You want to kind of take that a little bit, Aiden?
Yeah, we talk about IT auditing in general, but we don't show you how to audit. There's certification to do IT auditing more specifically. It's, in all honesty, that's something you just kind of learn on the job. I mean, as long as you show up with a Security Plus and a little bit of background in the field, usually you'd be able to find yourself doing some IT auditing. Naturally speaking, if you're in the field of cybersecurity, you'll find yourself doing that anyway. But no, we don't go in depth. We just go in. We just touch a little bit on it.
Hani says, can I take the FSNA at a time and then do another one? Yeah, the FSNA is the first course. You're going to take that first. You'll focus in the FSNA. FSNA is a robust course. You're not going to want to try to do any other things while you're doing that. Go through the FSNA, and then you move on to your next course. Cynthia says, how much do the certifications cost? That's good to clarify on. The in-house certifications like the FSNA and the NCSA and the FSMP, that doesn't cost you anything extra. That comes part of it. But industry certifications like the CCNA and the Security Plus, they usually cost around $300. I think the CompTIA went up to $370, but you can get discounts on those. Anyway, it's around $300 to take one of those industry certification exams. On the EC Council side, for the essentials exams, those are only around $80 or so to take those exams. So that's nice. That's not too bad. So easy to add on to one of those. So you know, it's not tremendously expensive or anything. For the EC Council, like the Certified Ethical Hacker, however, you know, when we run our boot camp on that, we're able to make it so the certificate or the exam is only around $400 through them, and that's us just passing through the cost because we're an EC Council partner. But if you were to try to go directly through them, you would have to pay like $1,400 for that. So anyway, that's an optional thing. Anyways, that's outside of the main program. Noah says, how long are the career services available for graduates? Generally, they're available until you get your job. What's the usual startup job and pay? So, all right, there's an average here. We don't have it posted on this thing. Oh, here we got it. The average computer and information technology occupations. Here, look at this. I'll go ahead and post this. Now, this doesn't by any means cover all the jobs, but this is from Bureau of Labor and Statistics. The average for all of these jobs is around 97,000 annual. But you would be looking to start out probably in the 50 to 80K range. Some folks have actually started out much more than that, but that's generally the range you'd probably start, but that's not where it stops, right? As soon as you get into your job, you can quickly advance, and we hope you understand how to do that as well. The sky's the limit with these IT jobs, folks. Extremely lucrative, but not only that, it's a good quality of life. It helps you to have a job that you can enjoy with something new every day. You get to touch a lot of different things, talk to people, work on stuff, save the day, and have fun at work. All right, let's see some other questions here. We're getting close to the end here, folks. Do you offer trail classes? Not sure what you mean on trail classes.
Trial classes?
Oh, trial classes. We do have a intro to network engineering course. If you want to get a little dip into some of the training, we do have that. If you go talk to the admissions rep, they can assign that to you. Do you need 2 terabytes? You don't need 2 terabytes of RAM. No, that would be a lot of RAM if you had 2 terabytes of RAM. That would be way more RAM than anyone would ever need. You couldn't even fit that much RAM in your machine.
Unless you're calculating the movements of stars.
Right, that's a lot of RAM. But Angel says, hey, what are the laptop requirements? And that will help with Hani as well. I know you mentioned for the cybersecurity program. On the networking side, is pretty much anything will run packet tracer, and that's what you're using. On the cybersecurity side, you do need a little bit more robust to build your own sandbox lab. However, we are working on, we don't have yet, but we're working on other ways to help offset that. But yeah, you'll want to at least have a laptop with some decent specs. Aiden, do you want to mention what those specs
Yeah,
should be?
you should really have a multi-core processor. You should have anything that's an i7 with at least 4 cores or more, and you want at least 8 terabytes. What am I thinking? 8 gigabytes of RAM. So you want 8 gigs of RAM and an i7 with 4 cores.
It doesn't have to be an i7. Right? It could be an i5 or something. It just needs to be multi-core, right?
It needs to be multi-core, but the better your processor is, because you're going to be running virtual machines. Okay, you're going to be running essentially another computer inside your computer. The better your computer is, the less time you'll be waiting for results to come back. If that's the case, you're just not going to want to do it. So the faster your computer is, the more inclined you are to do your studies and use your computer to begin with. So right. Whatever the best you can come up with, that is what I would recommend. But don't spend like $10,000 on a machine.
No, of course not. You can get a decent enough spec machine for under 2K, under 1,500, even under.
You can get one for like 500, 400 on Amazon. Usually, guys, if you want to pick up a really nice computer, just go on Amazon, look for something with an i5. i5, i7 or greater, just around Thanksgiving. It's coming around the corner. They're always taking off old stock for new stock. That's the time to go get a laptop if you need one. To put things in context, the very first laptop that I used to do my training on, I pulled out of a dumpster. And it costs about $200. So the best you can get.
Awesome. Yeah. And so minimum 8 gigs RAM, but preferably 16 gigabytes of RAM. The RAM really helps.
It does. The RAM absolutely does help with experience.
You don't need tons of storage, but like, I forget what your storage requirement was, but
yeah, you should have a terabyte just to make sure that, I mean, that's not exotic in today's day and age to have a terabyte free.
Unless you get like a MacBook, you're going to be limited on your SSD there.
That's true.
250 gigs sometimes, but you should still be able to do it with that. Yes, Pavneet, we can add you in. I'll make a note of that. And all right, we covered cost stuff already. Looks like we're getting pretty much to the end of the questions. Alfred says, if I do Network Plus, do you suggest I get a job before proceeding to Security Plus? I wouldn't really recommend just getting a Network Plus and then trying to get a job. That's not going to be enough. What I would recommend if you're trying to go in a networking side is you get your FSNA and you get your FSMP and then you get your CCNA and then you try to get a job. That's what I'd recommend. If you're going cybersecurity path, I would just say, hey, go ahead and get your Security Plus, get your EC Council cert, go through our NCSA and get your skills going, and then apply for the job. Right. Cynthia asks, can you use Ryzen 7, the AMD? Yeah, you should be able to use the AMD, no problem. Those have multi-core as well.
Yeah, I use an AMD processor right now as we speak.
It just needs to be multi-core, AMD or Intel, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Okay, Denver. Yeah, so the program's around 10K. You can get discounts. You do need to go talk to our rep at zerotoengineer.com/apply to understand what is the actual cost. I actually don't know the exact cost figure you will be presented with at the time, but it's going to be around that. Again, you can get some discounts, but you need to talk to the admissions rep to understand. All right. I think we have answered all questions pretty much. Somebody did have their hand raised. I see Noah and Alfred. You guys have your hand raised. If you would like to ask another question, you can. I forget if it lets you unmute yourself at all. Maybe you have to only type them. All right. Alfred, assuming you're good. What was the cybersecurity path? Well, we just talked about that. Cybersecurity path is you take your FSNA, then you have your NCSA, then you get your Security Plus, and you have an EC Council specialization certification. You get to choose 1 out of 3. That was just the certs. There's a lot more to it. You should check out our syllabus that I linked in the answers. Here, I'll go ahead and just link the syllabus again. As a response to your question there, Arasua. All right. Yeah, no worries, Noah. All right, folks. I think, Alfred, you're good. Looks like we're good. Hey, thank you all for attending. Aiden, you want to go ahead? And I think we have the last slide there. You just put it on. You can pop back on the nice little music, maybe, if you still got it there ready. But anyway, we'll go ahead and wrap up, folks. Hope you all have a wonderful day. We hope you very much enjoyed this presentation. Hope you guys have a great weekend. And hey, go ahead and talk to one of our admissions reps. They're ready to talk to you folks. They're ready to help you understand more about the program and what it may take to get you in. And hey, we'd love to see you too. We hope to see you in the program ourselves. We got Aiden and myself here, and we are instructors in the program. Aiden, would you like to mention anything else before we wrap up?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this has been a pleasure, guys. I really appreciate your time. Yeah, we are passionate about what we do. That's the reason why I teach. I'll be honest with you guys. I actually did not ever see myself as an instructor or as a teacher. However, I do like being parts of organizations that do change lives. That's essentially what makes me happy. And I really believe in the product and the mission statement of this company. So I would love to be a part of your success in the future. And right. That is essentially what I love doing that. That's essentially it. And Jacob, I'm sure loves hearing that too. Nothing makes me happier when I hear a student landing that perfect job. And
that's what I was about to say. Nothing makes me happier than whenever a student is landing a job. That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Why we do what we do.
All right.
We continue to help you. And some folks, they finish the program. Maybe they take a little time after that, whatnot, but we're always here for you to help you. Our career team is here once you're ready to start getting that job.
Yep.
All right, folks. Well, that wraps it up. Thanks again for attending, everyone, to our Introduction to Cybersecurity live workshop. Hey, we run these again. Maybe we'll see you on again. We'll run it again sometime. We'll take note on getting the recording out, and hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll see you, folks.
Awesome. Oh, and by the way, guys, we do have a YouTube channel. So if you go, we do have content. We do have content on a YouTube channel right now. So please look us up on YouTube. I don't have the direct link right now, but yeah.
I'll go ahead and put it into the answers.
Thank you so much.
It's youtube.com/nextgent. That was our company name. We kind of migrated to NGT Academy. But anyway.
Like, share, and subscribe. Smash that.
Yep. There it is. I just posted it.
All right,
folks. Well, everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you around. Hope to see you in the program.
Jacob Hess here. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you really enjoyed it. And I'd also like to remind you, if you're truly serious about your career in information technology, then be sure to check out our IT engineer training programs at www.zerotoengineer.com.